Hello and welcome to Family DynamiKs. I'm Katherine.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Ed.
And John.
Okay, so we just recently had an 8th grade graduation. Ethan graduated. It just made me think, like, we've had a lot of graduations.
True. And he graduated from all of our alma mater grade schools.
Yeah, we all went to the old St. Mel. I used to say St. Mel's with an S, which is apparently wrong. So now I'm trying very hard to say St. Mel.
Well, I think it's like a half and half. It's St. Mel's School, not the St. Mel School. It's Mel's when you're referring to the whole school or the parish or the church, but the person, or just by naming it, I think it would be just St. Mel.
St. Mel, and I guess I'm used to putting the possessive, like apostrophe S.
Right,
St. Mel's School. Like
all
it
the kids
belongs
say
to
St.
him.
Mel's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went there for grade school, which was actually a junior high as well.
Right, because it goes through 8th grade.
Right. So, yes, Ethan graduated this last week. He kept trying to get me to cry. And I think because he kept trying to do it, I did not cry.
Oh, that's interesting.
I was like,
I mean, it is a milestone. It is cry-worthy.
This is the last time you'll ever drop me off a carpool. This is the last time you'll ever pick
God,
me up.
what a
This is the
turd.
last time I'm ever going to put on this uniform. This is the last. I'm like, he's like, am I making you cry? I'm like, you're not making me naturally cry. No, your irritation is making me want to cry. And it just was a lot. There's a lot going on the last few weeks, like anybody experiences. And then you're also dealing with teenager hormones. So I'm very relieved it's done. It was funny because, he would talk about, he normally does very well in school. This last semester, he just got burnt out. So he prepared us like...
Threw in the towel.
Yeah, I'm not getting any awards. Don't worry, I'm not getting any awards. I was like, okay, all right. And it's ironic because a lot of his friends did. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, one friend in particular got a lot.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yes, I was like, come on, Ethan, your peers.
No.
I don't remember 13 years old or 8th grade or, the end of junior high being a senioritis moment. It is definitely backtracked into from like actual seniors in high school to like now 8th graders can have senioritis. What? No, you can't. You're in 8th grade. It's called senioritis.
I think the COVID and all that just impacted the burnout of these kids. I mean,
wrapping it up. Made
and
them
he's
think
been there
they could-
11
yeah.
years, I realized.
Wow, that's a long time.
Because he did 2 years of traditional,
Pre-K.
preschool, which is almost like daycare, and then an early 5 type of program, and then on to kindergarten. And I was remembering back to the first time I ever dropped him off at the school. So I dropped him off, and his book bag was like half his body size, like basically, if not more, and his lunch and diapers. You sent them with diapers.
Jeez,
it was
yeah.
just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to go pick him up, and I think he was only going maybe 2 days a week or 3 days a week at that point. He was not going 5 days a week. But I go to pick him up, and I did the after care program. So, because I worked. So,
Wait, how old was he? Like 2-ish?
2.5. You had to be 2.5, close to 3. But I distinctly remember I had to send him with diapers. He was not completely potty trained until that holiday. So in September he was not. So I go to pick him up after the aftercare program. So close to 5 o'clock. And I walk in and they're like, oh, hi. I'm like, hi, I'm here for Ethan Roman. And I'm not expecting them to recognize me because it's the first day. And she goes, oh no, Ethan's already been picked up. And I'm thinking, that's odd because...
Do you have another one?
Well, because, I'm like, no, I spoke to my husband earlier. He wasn't getting him. I was.
Yeah, that was the plan. It was me.
No. He's been picked up. I'm like, no, he has not. No one else would have got him this first day, but Mark or I, who's my husband, and he did not. And she's like, no, he's not. Oh, no, he's not signed. I'm like, no, he's not been picked up. Well, he's not here. I mean, it was the oddest interaction. And of course, now my blood pressure is starting to go through the roof. I'm thinking, really, this first day, my kid's going to be
Good Lord.
stolen
Yeah.
the first freaking day?
Come on.
She goes, and by this time, it's just her and appears to be just a few kids. And I'm looking into the room. She won't even let me enter the room, but I can see in there. And I've said his name 2 or 3 times and no little curly head has popped up. So I can see he's not in there. And I'm thinking, well, where the hell is he?
Good Lord.
At 2.5 / like I said, not even 3 years old. It's not like he was independent of oh, he's just in the bathroom by himself. It's like, no, where is he? So it was interesting because he was sort of combative toward me. No, he's not here. He's not here. And I said, well, he's not with me. And my husband didn't pick him up. And the last place we left him was here. So where is my child? It was I was going to go full on Sally Field, like, knock out my daughter. Like, I was going to lose my shit on this woman.
Gosh, I would. I mean, who wouldn't?
So
Good
she's
Lord.
like, well, let's look around. I'm like, yes, let's look around. Like, I'm going to walk around the campus. Like, unlock the doors. So we're opening doors. We're calling his name. Nothing. We look out into the back area. Now, like 10 minutes has passed. And I'm like, okay, I think we need to call the police. Well, what? Like, she knew. Like, at this point, it's like, what the hell happened here? And I said, well, let me out in the backyard. He's not out in the play yard because you could look out there. But I'm like, let me just go look out there. So you walk out to the play yard, and the main play yard, no, he's not there. But there's a side little yard that has a tricycle track on it. And I hear something over there.
Oh, geez.
So I go to the left and I look down there, and there is that jerk on a little tricycle.
Doing his own Ethan 500.
Just entertaining himself. And I'm like, Ethan. And he's like, oh, and he looked very hot because in the Valley in, I think, August, because school starts in August, actually, he'd probably been left out there for like an hour by himself at 2.5 years old. He's like, Mama. And I'm like, and the woman's like, oh, thank God. I'm like, I wanted to strangle this woman.
Yeah.
I mean, you lost track of a child and you acted like I was insane for, even questioning where my child was. And it's like he was been locked outside by himself for over an hour in probably 100-degree heat. It was like, oh my gosh. So that was the first day of school at his grade school, preschool. But it had only been up since then. So we ended on a high note. So
I do like that Ethan, whether or not he remembered that story.
He said he did, of course.
Was still like, so we were super emotional the first day. Now it's the last day. What are we going to do? Can we get emotional, Mom? Can I get you? No, nothing? This is the last time you'll be dropping me off at the playground.
John, you as his godfather hang around him a bit more than most. He likes to lean toward dramatic memories. So he for sure said he knew that memory.
Okay, sure. Look, it wasn't very strange. I even said... what was it, maybe the day before, it was like, not that it wasn't a big deal, but like, well, we're not really feeling it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, he's the one who's at school every day. Like, this is 8th grade, this is over, I'm going somewhere else. Whereas for us, it's like, whatever, you're at school. You're going to be at a different school. Who cares? It's just a school. I don't know.
Your out of the house time is now at a different location.
But on the other hand, I'm also forgetting, you were getting him ready for, all these different, I mean, it's not that there's an unlimited amount of 8th grade, culmination events, but, there was quite a few, whether graduation pictures or all these different things. So you were more in the mindset than I was. But
now it's interesting because you guys can tell me, junior high, there was definitely interest in boys and girls, that all started. Mm-hmm. And I think because of COVID, they were delayed a bit because, they went to a Disneyland trip. And I'm like, so did anybody make out or hold hands? He's like, Mom, oh my gosh, no one's doing that. I'm like, in 8th grade?
Nobody's doing that?
I was nobody? Okay.
Was anyone closer than 6 feet apart?
No, for sure. But then he had a party last night and I was like, hey, did any of that happen? He's like, Mom, no. He's like, but some people did kind of cuddle during the movie. And I had that option because they're all girls that like me, but I didn't take that option.
What?
Like,
okay,
what?
Oh.
Well, one girl that I think there was a mutual crush on and off throughout the years came up to Ethan to say goodbye to him at the graduation, and she is bawling. That almost got me.
That's slightly unfair. She seemed to be, now, not to out myself, because there are a multitude of reasons, but I did not see them walk in. But I did manage to see them very close after that, and she seemed to be bawling at that point. So she was
bawling the whole time.
She escalated her tears when she saw Ethan.
Oh, I see.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just, it's a very full circle, but, it's not like we won't be at that campus again because it's also our family parish. So when our mother makes us go to church, that's where we go. That's where we go.
Although, he is like some of us, but slightly different than most of us. He is going to have a kind of a different experience. There's only 3, including himself, going to this public high school?
Yeah. All of us went to a private Catholic high school. He is going on to the public high school in my neighborhood because that's what he wanted. So
it's also so close and convenient.
It's great. And our nephew, Luke, who's been on the podcast before, goes there as well.
So they'll cross over for a year.
Yeah.
And their relationship is great.
It'll work out perfect in high school.
I mean, I was more just saying, it's not like there is going to be a lot of continuation because there's only the 3 of them.
Right. And he doesn't talk to either of those kids.
Well, because typically from St. Mel, a lot of people go to one one of two schools with like a small amount going
It's
to a couple other
but
little.
it is different now. I mean, yes, there used to be a split. The boys went to an all-boy high school and the girls went to this all-girls high school. But now it's all over the map.
I mean, I remember when I graduated 8th grade, I was the lone student of the entire 2 classes that graduated, so like 60, 75 kids. I was the only one that went to Notre Dame, and it was co-ed, so everyone could have gone. But in the years since then, a lot of people actually started going to Notre Dame. It was a lot further out than the grade school that we're at.
Yeah, I think Chaminade, that Katherine, you went to, that was a smaller percentage, has become larger. Notre Dame sort of followed that trajectory later.
Yeah.
So yes, all these Catholic high schools do get a percentage of them, but yes, the public high school not getting so many.
It just sort of hit me right now. The 3 of you went to co-ed schools and I went to the all-girl high school.
Right.
So when I graduated St. Mel's, I didn't cry either. I think I was so relieved to get the hell out of there. It's not that I had a bad experience at St. Mel's. I just was over it.
Well, didn't you also like start with James and William ahead of you, and Rosemary at least behind you, and then added Virginia on? Like, you were in the middle of a 5-person swing at that school,
I was there
right?
too.
Oh, yeah, you count.
You weren't there.
I think there was a 20 years straight through that someone was at St. Mel's for 20 years because you start with James and you end with you, John. Even if it was in second grade, a few years difference, I think there was someone always there.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 22 because if you guys you weren't there the first year when you moved into the Valley, but whatever, the second or third year.
Mom and Dad paid tuition there for 22 years. I would die.
That's the problem with 8 kids.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And they used to give you a discount. Like the Catholic faith would be like, hey, you've had more than 4 kids. 4th one's free if they're all there at the same time. Now they're like, we don't
Never
care.
mind.
Everybody's paying.
There was that one family a couple years ago that had 5, and it was like everybody knew about that family. So I'm sure if you had 5 kids at that school, you might be able to talk to them.
Yes. Okay. Back to the awards. So there was an award that I got when I graduated St. Mel's. Now, it was not scholastic because, as you all know, that was not my forte, especially anything to do with math. So I had 2 sort of adoptive grandparents, Howard and Gertrude Coe.
Oh, yeah, I remember them now.
So I would go to Mass with Mom in the morning, and they just thought I was a delight. They just
you were,
loved me. They just thought I was a charming little girl. So a lot of times they would say, oh, in today's times, you might think it's creepy and be like, hell no. But of course, Mom was like, bye. They'd say, oh, can we take Elizabeth out to breakfast after Mass? Just her, just me. Now, I was like, hell yes. And
I get to go to Denny's, or what was it? What was the restaurant?
Cables?
Cables. I was like, Stables?
Cables
That's
was
wrong.
one, and they had another one that they loved to go to, and it's long gone, so I can't remember the name of it, but I remember going to it. And they would get me special gifts. They came to my First Holy Communion, gave me a gorgeous pearl bracelet that I lost. I still have a pair of lace gloves that they gave me.
Oh my God, how cute.
I went to both their funerals. They just adored me.
Oh, how sweet.
So
You're adorable. And that was the award that
Okay,
you got.
no. So they actually were part of, St. Mel's used to have a lot more groups that were very large and significant, and they had a senior citizen group. And I think I might have volunteered there once or twice or come by and visited them and, sometimes interactive. Oh, I do remember going to it, and then we'd go out to dinner afterwards. Like I said, in today's time, you'd be like, why are they showing special attention to my daughter? But it was very genuine. And I think because they had a daughter who lived out of state, and so they didn't have grandchildren, and their own daughter didn't live close. And, I knew, listen, if someone liked me, I was like, I was all in. I was
take
like,
you out for
give me gifts.
exciting meals? Yeah.
I mean, there is a corollary with Ethan. I don't know if we're going to get there, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, we're gonna. Well, okay, we'll get there. So basically, here comes the 8th grade graduation awards. I was like, why am I even going? I'm not getting anything for academics or sports because the only thing I did there was theater, and they had nothing for that in junior high. And I was going to Chaminade because our father taught there. And at the time, you got free tuition, which we've talked about on another podcast. So you were already going there. So you had already had the hard transition of where
I think I was literally the only one from St. Mel
Yeah.
who went to Chaminade that year.
almost all the girls. I think your year had 3 girls who went to Notre Dame for some reason because
Correct.
That
was the first year they went co-ed, I think.
right, and they lived closer to it. There was some logic, but out of say 40 girls, 32 of them went to Louisville. I
Yeah,
mean,
a lot.
it was so rare. So I was now 2 years later following you in the same situation, which was a real bummer. But you had no choice. Dad was like, I'm not paying tuition. And because my math grades were not great, I already was signed up having to go to summer school. So it was really brutal. So I'm going to go to summer school at Chaminade and I'm going to attend there. So I'm like, why am I going to this award ceremony? I'm not going to get a Louisville scholarship. I'm not going to get any special awards or honors. So I'm sitting there and they're going on and on. They said, well, our senior citizen group at St. Mel's has decided to this year start a special award called the Friendship Award.
Aww.
And Howard and Gertrude Coe are here to award it. And I'm like, what the jig is up? What is happening?
Now I
and like
know
our
why I'm
first
here.
ever, and this is really, gosh, talk about knowing who.
First ever and only?
No.
Oh, okay. Continue. Good.
Think about who I am as a person. They couldn't have nailed me more. They're like, our first ever recipient for the Friendship Award, Elizabeth Killmond. Mm-hmm. I was like, what the hell? I mean, all my friends, Heather McDonald was aghast because it was like, what? Because they didn't really
Wait,
know.
she was aghast?
Aghast.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's aghast.
She was aghast. Okay. And a couple of my other friends, because they didn't know my relationship with Howard and Gertrude. So they had no clue. So I was the girl recipient and there was Stephen Lapierre, I think was the boy recipient. And you went up and it was a $500 check. So, of course,
wow.
my mind went to the moped that I was going to buy. And, of course, Dad went to the thank you going toward, hello, we had free
Whatever,
tuition.
anything, yeah.
And he still took it.
Uniforms and shoes.
Whatever, school scholastic uses. So I was so honored.
Books.
So this year, they had the Friendship Award. And yes, Rosemary turned to me. She goes, oh, my God, you got that? They're going to give it to Ethan? I'm thinking, no, nobody's going to remember. Like,
that it was you, that you're the legacy. But wait. You have to go back that changed where you ended up going to high school. Was it that
Yes.
changed it? Okay.
They did not say the words Friendship Award, did
yes.
they? I
Yes.
was paying attention.
And Rosie
I don't
even
know.
turned to me. She's like, is that the word you got? And I'm like, yeah, but no. Ethan, I
Not
don't-
for Ethan.
Even though he's very friendly, they're not going to make the connection.
Are we going to make the connection now?
Oh,
They
yes.
should have made
Well,
the connection.
They should have made the connection because, listen, they're actually not a senior citizen club anymore. So I think they had a different name for it, but it was something along those lines now. But Ethan, listen, that's not new stardust in there. He loves an old person. You take him to a party and there's someone, what, John?
Well, no, I'm just, yes, a party, but at school, all of the.
God.
Yes.
Yeah. So to wrap that up, Ethan, you take Ethan to a party. If there is someone, listen, he really loves the gray hair. So 75 plus, he's going to corner them out and have some long conversation with them about God knows what. But really what he's notorious for on the St. Mel's campus is if you go to pick him up, he will be talking to his friends and he has a huge group of friends and he loves to talk to the old ladies.
What,
I
like
mean,
old ladies from where? What do you mean?
Oh, the aftercare program, teachers. He'll go back and visit one. He'll be by the flagpole talking to them. Any of it.
Because there's a couple, there's, quite a few that work there, but then there's quite a few that are like, are you some kind of volunteer? You just hang out by the flagpole as an extra pair of eyes? And he's like, oh, of course, I talked to Mrs. I don't know any of their names.
Oh, she
but-
went away last weekend. She had a great time. She actually went to New England and saw the leaves change. And you're like, what the? And now I'm so used to it. I just get in the car. I'm like, oh, that's great. Oh, that's oh, well, gosh, she just had a grandchild. Or, oh, she was just in the hospital. I felt horrible. I mean, like, she was really sick. I mean, it's very involved.
And it is because you do not arrive on time to pick him up.
Oh,
'cause
no,
he
he's gotta
will
make
not
his
be
rounds,
ready.
yeah.
And there was this last year somehow.
I'm sorry. That sounds very Mary Killmond.
Oh,
Yes,
for sure.
20 minutes of conversation after the event is over. Mm-hmm.
Which we never fully, I don't know if we actually nailed him down on this one. Not that it's easy to get the correct explanation, but this last year he was always doing the flagpole, raising or lowering the flag with the Boy Scouts or whatever, and it would take forever. I would show up, it's already 10 minutes after, there's still tons of kids there. He is not with the rest of the 8th grade. And so you'd ask the person, he's like, oh, he's probably still doing the flag. And you're like, how long does it take to do the, because he's probably talking to these people.
Oh, for sure. He's got to check in with everybody. So He's had a great time there. I think it will hit him later, but it's
But
not like we'll never be there again.
I know, but so there were 1 or 2 awards that talked about friendship or community, and I was like, well, Ethan is checking that box. Although, of course, there's like 5 other boxes in this award. But
yeah, the problem is he's just the social box. He did not want to do, for what a leader and a director he is, and very bossy.
Well, always not his own age. It's other people.
Gosh, he went to a birthday party today, and it's for a kid either a year or 2 younger than him, and of course he gets invited. And I said, oh, he's right in his, lane. It's a bunch of kids younger than him. So he's the oldest there. He's going to love it. So, yeah. But so, these other kids that got those awards, they're part of the student council. They're on the sports teams. He was just very social on campus, but, not necessarily part of the overall after school curriculum or anything like that. So I'm very proud of him. He got through it. I really derailed him. I took him to New York around St. Patrick's Day for a work trip, and he never got back on track. I mean, he never got back on track. Every single week, it was like, I can't go to school. I'm too tired. And I gave him 1 or 2 weeks because I thought, he really is tired or he is sick. And then I realized it was just,
baloney schmanoni.
Kind of. And it was always on the Tuesday when after school he has Spanish class. So I was like, I got your number, go. So it's a great school. It was weird just to be there and see it, And the principal is someone I went to school with. So it felt very full circle. We still have 2 nieces there, so we'll be back there for their graduation in a few years. That's why I said, no, we're not done by any means at the school. But he is going off to high school next year, and he goes, Mom's going to fly by. In 2 years, I'm going to drive. And then I'm going to be graduating from high school.
Wow,
and
he's really trying to get you to...
Then I'm moving away to college, and I may never live back here again. I'm like, okay, stop.
Well, I mean, legitimately, you probably haven't had this conversation with Rosemary yet, but she had 2 boys go through the exact same experience, and I'm sure each one of them had a big change in their social atmosphere, their availability, and their time, and what their schedule was. Like, when you go to high school from 8th grade to, freshman year, there's like 6 hours of stuff to do after school every day. There's practice. There's other things. There's friends that you got to get together with. There's a basketball game that everyone's going to at 7 o'clock that won't be done until 9. I'll see you at 10 o'clock, Mom. What? That's a whole different day.
Well, that is coming, yes.
But yeah.
No, they're very busy. In fact, they did not come to the after graduation party. And so I'm like, I'm packing them up food. I have a lot of food. I need those 2 grown boys here eating. I'm like, here you go. But, so I did not end up going to the same high school as Katherine, which was the co-ed.
Even though you won the friendship award, and that could have been used towards tuition.
I am imagining it got thrown in the overall pool, the Killmond pool, and got
not
used.
an actual pool, in case anyone's wondering.
Right. Well, wait, just memory-wise, I'm realizing that I think that was the year that at Chaminade, the high school that I was at and Dad was teaching at, they went from children of teachers were free to children of teachers were at a discount. So then Dad offered you, like, do you want to go to Chaminade where I would still have to pay, or do you want to go to Louisville? Well, I think that's what happened.
Yes. So basically, I went to summer school, and then I ended up going to Louisville.
Well, and then also both of our next 2 sisters followed you to Louisville because you would actually be still... I mean, you weren't there at the same time as Virginia, right?
No, there was a 2-year gap. So when I was a junior, Rosemary was a freshman, and then it was the same trajectory with Virginia. So she came in as a freshman, Rosemary was a junior. Because we were all Irish twins. We could have been back-to-back, following each other, not even a year apart in school, basically. Just separated, sophomore, freshman.
Right.
But I took kindergarten twice at the public school, which was very typical because Mom put you in early. And my kindergarten teacher said she is not mature enough to go on to first grade. And so St. Mel's at that time did not have kindergarten. Oh, I have a question about graduation for you.
Yeah.
Because it came up the other day. Rosemary brought up the fact that Luke and Sarah, I think, or Jack, one of her kids, one of her boys, graduated the same day as Sarah was graduating high school.
Yeah, it was Luke from, where did he go to? He went to
St. Francis.
St. Francis.
So grade school.
It was St. Francis and Sarah's high school graduation were the same day.
So she was trying to remember who went where, because there's a lot of us. And, for Ethan's graduation, thank you, almost all the family members showed up. supported him. Very fun. I could not remember because Sarah's my goddaughter, but there was like limited tickets or something, right?
I don't remember if it was that or what, but I do remember that.
Oh yeah, why am I asking you bad memory? But
I remember a little bit about Sarah's graduation, so that is helpful. I know that John brought Grand Mary from Luke's, I think, but that was I think. Oh, see, there you go. Confirmation that I remembered something. But I don't think anybody else family-wise came. I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, no, it was a huge pain scheduling-wise because they were the same day. They were slightly apart, just barely enough to go to Luke's, finish that. Pictures outside the venue are not done, and you're like, we got to go. So then we went over to Sarah's. And yeah, I mean, we weren't there at the very beginning, but it was still,
right. We flagged you down or something because it was outside.
Well, yeah, you told us where you were sitting, and somehow we, got in there. And then I think I'm misremember. Now I can't remember what dinner we went to.
I think we very vaguely went to Maggiano's after, and poor Sarah was already having a migraine. She was not doing great, so she did not enjoy this dinner that was in her honor. She was like, okay, let's wrap it up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think for Luke, most people went to a restaurant after.
I cannot remember being at either one. And it's so rare for me, and no one is helping me out here either. So Rosemary thinks I was out of town. I'm going to have to dig up a calendar to look it up because it is driving me a little cuckoo.
Was it on a weekday?
Oh, well, it wouldn't have mattered. It just in the sense, back then I traveled so much it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, I only bring that up because, case in point, I didn't make it to Ethan's graduation. I just made it to his after party because it was at work. Because it was on a work day.
Because my work has always been something like this. I could have gone. So I'm like, where was I? I do not remember.
We also had John Paul graduating from 8th grade, but in a different city.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and I think Helen Marie, our cousin, had a kid. I mean, I think it was
true.
I think Alonzo graduated that year as well. I honestly think there was there might have been some on the Boyle
graduation
side.
nexus.
Yes, I think there was 7 kids or something crazy.
There were a lot, but we're conflating some things because I think Alonzo is the same age as Jack and William, so that is a different year. So he recently graduated
how
high
are you
school.
keeping any of this
But wait,
track
hold on
of this?
Hold on a second. Do we have a kindergarten graduation that was thrown in there? Because those are super special.
No, I don't actually.
Well, how old is Lauren? Isn't Lauren
they don't
nearly the
do
right age to do
They don't do one.
Oh, okay, fine.
They don't do
All right.
one like that. No, I mean because Ethan went there, and I think there was just sort of I don't know if there was anything, especially if we were going on to St. Mel's. It was like bye.
Yeah,
we're just gonna
see
move
him
over,
a little bit.
Move over to the next campus.
Well, it would have been interesting because Adam would have, in air quotes, had a graduation ceremony this year. But we moved him he was in a public high school where he has an aide, and he was in with typical kids for some of his school day. And then we had to move him to more of a special needs program. And then our aide got a better job because they don't really pay aides very much. And we had an amazing aide, and he had to leave us. And so we basically were panicked. We were like, oh my God, who's going to be with Adam? Because he has such terrible problems with communication and his own safety awareness and all that. So we basically were like, maybe this is the time to move him from this, he was in air quotes again, a senior in this high school. And we moved him to an occupation-based program at a different campus. So he didn't have a graduation this year, which is funny because I did take him to get graduation pictures taken. So we have these pictures of him.
Oh, I love it.
It's so cute. I mean, he was like, what the hell are we doing? I don't even know what this is about at all.
Cosplay. I'm into it. Let's do it.
I actually drove past his high school yesterday to take Ethan somewhere, and the graduation was going on, and it sort of hit me like, oh my gosh, he would have been graduating today with this class. And that's a huge high school, so it was like, I'm not taking that way home because
that would be
hundreds of people were descending. Speaking of graduation photos, so Ethan this year, we went to New York around St. Patrick's Day.
Against my advice.
Yep, sorry, very fun. And the graduation photo day was while we were away. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, well,
once in a lifetime opportunity.
Pretty much. So I contacted the school and said, we're going to be out of town. I would like him to still get graduation photos. And she said, well, of course he can't be part of the group photo. And I was like, I go, well, I have a brother that can probably Photoshop him in there. Just like, let me know. And they said, oh, that's a funny idea. I'm like, oh, yeah. So then like the next month was like tracking down this poor photography guy to like take Ethan's photo. So he ended up going to a different school, like walking on the campus with Mark, putting on his like, cap and gown, and standing like with a backdrop behind him, like smiling, like taking the photo. Kind of odd. So we get his graduation photos last week, home from school. And it looks good. He looks a little alarmed, like where am I? Like,
what am I doing?
I can read Ethan's expression. He's just like, what is happening? Because there's probably a million teenagers looking at like, what the hell's that kid doing?
I think there's a phrase you usually like to use.
What?
Okay, well, then it doesn't apply. Don't worry.
Just say it.
Cheese McGee.
Yes, he was.
It has nothing to do with what was going on. No, it does not.
No, I can read it. The Cheese McGee is, yes, he does a Cheese McGee smile quite often.
McGee.
But this was more like, oh my gosh, I'm really uncomfortable. I just want to get this done because I'm on another school's campus.
The eyes are a little too open.
Yeah, it's like, But then I open up the whole package, and there is a 4-pack of a totally another random kid's picture in there. Like from a different school, like clearly high school. Like,
wait, actually, I photoshopped that. That was Ethan.
No, well,
just kidding.
And then here comes the group photo. Now, when we went there, they would do almost like a long landscape photo, which was so dumb because you're like, where am I finding the special frame for this? As like a 9th grader.
What am I doing?
I have both my high school and 8th grade one rolled up into a cone.
Exactly.
They're not
permanently
hung up
curled.
at all.
Permanently curled. So this is they've now stacked the kids higher and deeper, and now it's more like an 8x10. And off in the top corner, looking a little weird, but there is Photoshopped Ethan Roman in there.
What? That's amazing.
It looks, I thought they gave you a heads up, but it doesn't actually look that out of place at all.
No, it totally works.
That's amazing.
So I'm like, look, Ethan, it was worth going to New York. You missed nothing.
I was wrong, as usual.
No, but I was like, I just had to ask and harangue and harass and got it done. So,
that's great because it's a permanent record of that group, and he's in there.
Yep.
I definitely
Permanent false record.
Permanent lie of a record, but sure.
But I mean, I was shocked other kids missed the picture. I mean,
I don't know. Are there even
we
bleachers
should study.
anymore?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe there's other photoshopped kids.
Because the wide picture aspect for sure felt like, oh, we just have these bleachers that go super wide. Put everybody in the bleachers. Great, done.
Well, and I think also it's, the bleachers are only 5 rows deep. So that's what you do. They're, yes, in a different place because that part of the field and those bleachers no longer exist. So yeah, it's what I don't know if they own those stands that the kids were on, but it was in a different place on a set of stands.
Yep,
I just know I'm gonna have to inspect to make sure that he has had his feet and legs photoshopped in behind the person in front of him. I just I gotta check, make sure it really sold in that frame.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So we have 2 more nieces that are still there. And I am hoping, after their grade school graduation, they go on to my alma mater because that graduation was serious.
Well,
yeah.
Before we even get to that ridiculousness, the one of them is about to do a summer school program there. I'm sure you've heard that.
Yes.
So laying the path.
It's also their mother's alma mater. Although weirdly, they're like 20 times closer to Chaminade where they live, right?
But they're not going there.
No.
Yeah, no.
Well, similar to grade school, not close.
No.
Well, I was driving Ethan to a graduation party yesterday, and I don't know if you guys had this at St. Mel's in the 8th grade. There was like a week's worth of parties.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Back then,
No.
you could. Oh, really? They changed?
I mean, whatever. I think there were like 2. And maybe it's slightly not quite the same as it is now, but there were like 2 official ones. And then, I don't know. That's all I knew about.
There was a grade school dance.
Pre-high school dance.
When we went there.
Right. That 8th grade dance was very fancy feeling.
They don't do that anymore.
Oh.
It was a big picnic hangout.
Okay.
So fine. And they went to Disneyland. Those are the big activities. And there's no sanctioned quote unquote parties, but now there's a rule that pretty much if you have a party,
Everyone's invited?
It either has to be all girls,
Oh.
all boys, or everybody. When I went to St. Mel's, there was tons of parties, and you could just invite whoever you wanted. So there was definite parties you might not make the cut.
Oh.
which is nerve-wracking.
I feel like we're right in an interesting position in the way parents, teachers, the administration, and the kids are all not exactly on the same page. We've heard you talk about Ethan's absolutely not fazed by anybody having a gendered way to talk about themselves. It feels like, it's either all boys, all girls, or co-ed, or it's a they-them party. Like, you could say all boys, but then how are you going to specify if someone's self-identifying as they-them and they're like, well, am I invited or not? It'd be interesting to find out if that actually gets to the level where, as a parent or as an administrator, you talk about like, oh yeah, kids need to invite everyone to all the parties. There's no gendered specific kind of party anymore.
I would not be surprised if that doesn't come, but it depends on the school. And a Catholic private school, probably not going to go there. You would hope that maybe there are parents and the community is sensitive about that, but the school, it's a Catholic grade school. So.
Yeah, they're probably trying to sidestep that whole conversation.
Yeah, so he was going to this party yesterday, and I could not believe how far these people lived from the school. I was like, I would never. Forget it. We passed like 4 other Catholic grade schools going
on the way there.
There's no way.
We had somebody that was in Camarillo.
What?
So yeah, I mean, it is crazy. I mean, you guys talked about it. People who were in whatever Catherine's like, closer to Notre Dame. So it is weird that some people aren't that close.
Yeah.
The other young lad that I was driving to the party goes, yeah, man, I couldn't do it. I wake up at 7:20 sometimes to get to school. And Ethan's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you do too as well. Like, it is, I'm dragging you out of bed.
After the 4th time trying to wake you up, yeah.
No, it's like little Lord Fauntleroy. It's like, here's your toast. Here are your clothes laid out. I'll get your water. I'll get your bed. Would you like a Claritin? I'll pre-open the package. I mean, like, and Mark makes your lunch. Like, I am, for one child, I mean, high school will be a bit of a transition, so we'll see what happens. So Louisville was the all-girls high school that I went to, and I just saw on social media, they were practicing for the graduation because we would wear white gowns that had to be approved because there was rules about it.
Yeah, it's a very specific, fancy graduation ceremony.
A prim and proper.
Yeah, I think we wore gloves. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm 100% sure you wore gloves.
Okay.
I've been to many Louisville graduations myself.
Well,
so.
I know they've added them. I'm saying I don't know if in the 80s that was part of it. I do know it is now. I'd have to go back and look at a photo if that was part of it.
It seems funny to add gloves.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
instead of
I don't
reverse.
I do think it is part of it now. I don't know if it was when I was there. I'd have to go back and look. But
okay, so describe, because didn't you also carry flour? Like, I didn't do it, so I don't.
A dozen roses.
Oh,
yeah, because you were traditional cap and gown, right? The 3 of you.
Yeah, I was just, Sham and I was just the regular old, I think it was blue because our colors were blue and gold or something. And
blue and gold.
Yeah.
They weren't blue and orange?
Oh, it is blue and orange.
You guys are blue and gold, right?
Katherine remembers everything.
Yellow and blue, or blue and gold, but blue and gold is like real Notre Dame University, and a lot of our stuff is blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
Yeah, we were blue and yellow as well, our school colors. But you got a class color, and ours was red. And so you got a dozen red roses to walk the very traditional long walk in your white gown that had to be approved. And
it was a procession for sure.
Yeah, and I got mine made.
Really?
By someone that worked at Dad's store. I have it somewhere still.
Wow.
It's very heavy taffeta with a lot of lace.
Oh my goodness.
The waist is so teeny. It's like a 22 or 23. Like, it is like ridiculous, but it was custom made to like my body. And you had to have long sleeves and certain things covered and so on and so forth. And then the big deal was 4 girls get to do a solo. I was singing backup, the Ave Maria.
Oh, right.
And there's all this controversy who gets chosen, and you had to audition. And our year definitely had 1 or 2 that probably should not have been part of the quartet. It was a little odd. Not that they sound bad, but it's, it was just sort of like, you haven't been in choir for 4 years, and where did you come from? And you're not one of the strongest voices. But my girlfriend Heather was so intent on getting one of those solos.
Oh.
And it's Ave Maria, so you're like, it's very high.
So just the entire class sings, but then 4 girls get a solo part
4
within
girls
that?
get solos, yes. But then they're backed up by the Royal Company, which I was part of, which was the more traditional singing corral.
So not the whole graduating class, just however many that is.
No,
10, 20, whatever.
Yeah. It's very, you're singing in Latin. Tu le vu. Oh my gosh, sorry. That is my school's alma mater song.
I was like, I don't know if that's.
I'm like, she's definitely singing something she knows. I'm not sure that's what we were talking
But
about.
that was Latin, wasn't it? I don't know.
Yes. Ave Maria is like, Ave Maria. So that's actually I don't know what it is. I don't remember. I didn't get one of the solos. I was robbed. But I sang back up in my white gown, and so it was all, Crespi guys come, and, our parents come, and that's a very she, graduation.
So the roses were the class color. So Rosemary and Ginny, they had different colors? I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
No,
I think Rosemary, of course, was disgruntled about her color. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, you got to even wonder how many rose colors were they dealing with?
Geez, John, like white, pink, yellow, red, like an orange.
Isn't there like a lavender or something?
Oh, yeah, I would have loved a lavender.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering how many they included in there.
You don't need to repeat in a 4-year cycle, let's put it that way. But I can't say that didn't happen. And I remember there was younger freshman class who'd be like, we want our color to be green. And you're like,
green?
There's not going to be a rose color.
Start planting green roses now if you want that to happen.
Think it through, girls. Think it through. I mean, Louisville, the era that I went through was still a bit of a Mean Girls. Ironically, did have 5 girls named Heather in my class.
Oh, wow.
Heather's the movie. We had senior lawn. You could sort of kind of still bully and get away with shit back then. So there was a whole, and you were at a very privileged, primarily white high school.
So green roses was a really big deal.
So we had to be like, you idiots! Like, this is the big campus controversy. Your green roses, they don't even exist, you morons. Like, you dumb bitches. So it was like, I mean, I have very fond memories of Louisville, but Aunt Therese and I, when we had our Aunt Therese on, I got the B of A Drama Award that year.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So you went from friendship to drama. Okay.
Yes. Wow. Actually, a very straight trajectory. Makes complete sense. So I don't know. No, and then I never graduated from college. So even though I attended, I never finished. I still think about it, but I'm like, all I have left is like 4 math requirements. I can't do it.
I don't think
theater
you need
major
to at this point.
Yeah, you and I are together on that, which makes so much sense from our educational and, brain capability versus the other two at this table who did manage it.
I mean, look.
Katherine, you got a degree in editing? Ish? No. How's that work?
Well,
Film?
it was the communications department. So it was a Bachelor of Fine Arts in communications. And then it was an emphasis on film and television production, which really it was television production for me. And yes, I weirdly did learn how to edit. And I was also writing and directing and all that stuff. But I purposefully tried to maneuver my education with the least amount of reading required.
I was just going to say
somehow
that
I did it.
Neither of us have like a science-y degree. I got an art degree. I took 2 math classes in college total. That was it. So I took 3 English classes in college total. That was it. Everything else is like a lot of reading and tests and stuff like that. But it's all art related, so it's all in the lane that I want to be in. So it's not like, general education on English. How about let's study just poetry? Yeah, great. That's the art that I want to study in the style of writing. Fantastic version of English class. I love that. So yes, I do have a degree, but it's a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I got a lot of hands-on experience. Like, you got to learn how to edit. Mm-hmm. So did I. Did you get judged on your home key positions and how fast you were on editing? No, you don't get a grade on that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like learning that we got to do that was training almost for work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if all
Like
I had
theater.
left was theater classes, I'd go back and just do it, knock it out. My season education. I remember your graduation from college, Dad, because you were Loyola Marymount. So, it was a day trip for the family. And
even though we've joked about this before, I thought it was so far away.
It was very far away.
And then ridiculously, I've had jobs 100% that were farther than that I just drove every day. Like, what?
I was late to the podcast because I was just past where you went to high school. It's like, yeah, no, that's a
college.
Good bit, that's a good college. That's a good bit of distance for sure if you got to travel that far.
But Dad did his classic, like, I am leaving at this time, because we were like a large group. So to sit or, just be anywhere was going to be, because, that's the thing about college graduations. I mean, it can be thousands of people attending it. So Dad basically did the classic, like, I am leaving at, the graduation maybe was at 1:00 or something. I am leaving at 11:15. Whoever's not in the van is not going to go. And it was so pressure filled. So it was, oh my God. Because at that point, we had not attended James's because that was Dartmouth back east. So Dad and Mom attended.
We went to Williams. I remember when he graduated from the seminary.
Yeah,
we
that
all
was
went to
very
that.
unique, because then it was, he was going on to the secondary, basically the degree that, I don't know what did they
I
call
think it's
that?
theology, but
Yes, I think it was theology. Yeah.
I don't remember his high school graduation. I do remember his college graduation when
I
he
remember
finished
both
it.
because the high school, I don't know if Grammy came to that one. I don't think so. I think she came to the theology one, because then theology started to be like, whoa, are you going to be a priest? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But that he announced from high school that he was not going to a traditional college. He was going on to theology, where you do get a 4-year degree.
Right. Is it St. John Seminary?
I think so, yeah. And that was so fascinating. I thought, whoa, wait, when are you getting off this train, dude? Like, you're really not going to become a priest, are you? Like, you seem to have girlfriends. And listen, that's the thing about priesthood. You can have girlfriends. You don't even have to be a virgin until you take your vow of chastity. You don't have to be chaste. So he was very active dating.
Plus, you know all the rules on how to apologize for it and do the right amount of prayers, and you're good.
So he, so he was very active socially, dating and all that.
He was so cool.
Yeah, but I definitely was shocked that he was going on to the college level. So his high school graduation, I think there's only 3 or 4 guys. The rest of them were all going on to either traditional colleges or careers or occupational. Very few were going on to theology. So that was surprising. It was sitting there like,
Really? You're one of the ones that's going on
happening
to the
that
seminary?
was a long mass. I mean, hello. I mean, not shocking, but that was a mass plus the graduation. It was all boys, and that was a long one. Being a younger sister, you're like, all these cute boys, all of them want to become priests.
Off the menu.
Yeah, wah, wah. So I feel like yours was the first college graduation that felt like a real college graduation that I attended.
Yeah, I have a very cute picture of the 4 girls at my college graduation. I have not my cap, but I do have the gown and whatever the sash was. And it's the 4 of us, looking very early 90s.
Yeah. A big wave on our hair.
Probably.
Ed, yours was interesting because Dad had passed away by that time.
Yep.
And Mom basically said okay, whoever wants to go to Ed's graduation, pay for yourself to get there. Who's going?
A lot of us went. Did all of us go? I feel like all of us went.
All of us went.
Yep. It was the Savannah, Georgia, where I went to school, and the graduation was the second time anyone had made it to Savannah. The first time was when James and I went to go check out Savannah College of Art Design before I attended. So the whole 4 years I got to experience Savannah by myself. It was great. I lived in multiple apartments, had roommates. No one ever came to Savannah because it was too expensive to go out and visit, and I was there for school. But also I feel like if you look at the timing on that, I'm 6 years older than John. In the middle of going to that, John's graduating 8th grade. Mom is teaching in high school and dealing with a 7th and 8th grader those first 2 years. So she's got essentially what you have right now, of a house that's going to take up as much space, time, and energy as it takes to take one kid through high school. Yeah, I'm off everybody's radar. I'm in Georgia. So,
well, I didn't feel that way, but look, I think it was just very far away and expensive, and
no doubt.
So yeah,
I will say one of the funny things, with Ed's graduation, that we were all. Where did we all go to dinner?
There was 2 different dinners that we went to. The one you probably are talking about is the Pirates Cove.
Oh, yeah.
Then we got shuffled off out of the Cove, the nice, cool looking part of the restaurant, into the group room, which was a totally white, like normal,
Horrible.
regular restaurant room. It was like theme restaurant. Actually, you're going to go into the back.
Yeah,
geez.
so we were a big group. Kathy and Tony Delgado came as well. And Mom had been talking about pecan fried chicken for... she had to have gone one other time to visit you because she talked about like she'd had it. But I mean, I'll trust you.
I am pretty sure it was in the hopes of tasting as good as the Big Yellow House fried chicken. There's fried chicken in Edstown. I want to go. It's in the
I don't
South.
know. She kept talking about
Because
it.
I'll tell you, we didn't go to the right restaurant. Not just that we got shuffled off in the back room because Mom had her eyes on some pecan chicken from Southern California all the way in Georgia that she wanted to try.
Yeah.
There's like a sit-down group family style restaurant in the middle of downtown that's impossible to book, that was up and running at the time that we went there, and it just was like not on my radar to try to bring that up. It's like a 20-person sit-down long table inside someone's house that's been there for 100 years, bakes you a home-cooked Georgian dinner. Oh yeah, that's the place we should have gone.
Oh, well, yes,
We'll
because
just have to go back.
Now Rosemary, our sister, has this thing today that, you know, Kirk just waits. Like, you go check out the table and come tell me if we're actually staying at it. Because Rosemary rarely will take the first table that she's brought to. She's never bitchy about it, and she'll be happy to wait another 15 to 20 minutes. But her whole thing is like, I'm paying the same price as everybody else. I don't want to sit by the bathroom door. I don't want to sit
in the wait staff area,
if it
or the
is
kitchen.
if I'm starving, there's something different. But if like we're actually really going out for a nice dinner, I'll just wait. Especially if she's putting a note like, I'd like a booth, I'd like by a window. It's like, well, I want that, so I'll just wait. So something like this theme restaurant, she would have lost her mind. But we were all too young because, you know, you walk into a theme restaurant and it was funny. It's like, we're going by all this fun stuff, all this commotion, this and that. Why are we like practically walking through the kitchen and around? What the hell is this? And because at that point we're just such a large group, it was like, okay, just sit down. But I was like, I don't even have to look at a menu. I'm getting this pecan fried chicken. And it was like, when I say like the lighting like buzzed, and I think there were like flies in there, like it was like, wow,
Oh, no.
What the hell happened here? All ambiance gone. The fried chicken comes, and it was fried chicken that they just crumbled pecans on top of and poured maple syrup. I mean, not my jam.
But like I said, not the right restaurant in Savannah, Georgia. to be
No.
hitting up.
And I think Rosemary, who's a terrible orderer, ordered soft shell crab. And I don't know if she understood because we were younger what that was. I mean, now you understand. It's like, it's a certain time of year. The crabs are still in their shell, but it's soft, and it's going to look like a full-on crab in your sandwich. So she's like, what is this? And she was like freaking out. Like, it was crazy. No, I mean, Savannah is a beautiful, beautiful town.
Yeah, I do remember how beautiful it was.
Yeah, it was very fun to go and sort of see your world, but it was there was a lot of traveling in our large group. It can be challenging.
Yeah.
And I think it was another time probably all four of us girls, like, you know, shared a room.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember where we stayed at all. I don't know. Well,
I think it was like a Marriott Garden.
oh,
And we all stayed in the same room.
Yeah, I do. Wasn't there? I don't know if this was the airport or the hotel. Wasn't there some kind of like, you know, inside lobby garden kind of deal? I almost remember that.
Yes.
I'm not talking about Die Hard or, you know, that Los Angeles
No,
hotel,
it's one of those
but
classic like inner atriums that goes down the whole
atrium is the correct word. Good
yeah,
job.
it goes down the whole center of the. So it's a square that's empty in the center, and the rooms surround it. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any experience with that in the college town that I went to because I stayed wherever I was paying rent.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, yeah.
Yep. We don't have anybody else graduating this year that I'm aware of. But once again, I think all these kids who are on the same time track will have another year. There'll be like 4 or 5 of them or 5 or 6 of them. We had a cousin on the Saulnier side.
Yep.
Graduate, Brian from high school. So, you know, it's all happening, everybody. This next generation.
I know. We'll have Luke from high school next year, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And John Paul up north.
Oof.
Yeah,
all
see,
right.
it's all
doubling
happening.
up, doubling up.
I am not ready to be an empty nester at all. So I'm like, Ethan, stop even talking about it, bringing it up, getting me to cry. It's not going to happen.
He's just really prodding for that cry. That's funny.
Well, 11:30 p.m. That's the time. What can I do
to delay? You got me monologuing, you jerk.
Is that his move?
Oh my Lord. And I'm afraid for high school because we are going to transition. We're switching bedrooms. Got to have its own area because it's like I can't deal with them out in the general public doing homework and all that anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean, in some ways, a backyard window versus a front yard window, sneaking out is just as easy, I suppose. But
oh, John, those windows are going to get nailed shut. All right. So to all of you that graduated this year or your kid graduated, congratulations to you. You did it. Both as a parent and as a student. So,
yeah, to whatever the next phase is.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to Family DynamiKs, and you can follow us on all of our social media at Family DynamiKs with a K. And we have a Patreon, so you can become a patron and support us there and hear other ridiculous, funny stories on the Patreon. And again, we thank you for listening to Family DynamiKs.